All right, everybody. It's the Combatcast. Welcome aboard. We're going to have fun today. We're going to talk a little bit about UFC 278 and see some of the stuff that happened. An amazing head kick. And then we're going to do a little MMA Jeopardy. But before we do anything, here's our intro. Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Everybody. First off, Chevarooney, I'm excited to do MMA Jeopardy again before I do anything. But why don't we tell people what's coming up next week?
All right, September 3rd, we're going to be previewing UFC Fight Night Gane versus Tuivasa. That's a 3 p.m. card, so we're looking forward to that. Then September 10th, UFC 279. That's Hazmat versus Nate Diaz. Then September 17th, UFC Fight Night Hagen versus Udon.
Yeah, thank God Ferguson and the Leech got added to that card too with Diaz and Chimaev.
Yeah, it was a pretty soft card before that. Still not the best card. They're really counting on Nate and Hazmat to carry that one for sure.
I'm sure they will, but as for like hardcore fans that want like, more fights, it's like, all right. And especially we know we never know, obviously, especially after this past weekend. But I mean, we got a pretty good
It's like plus 2,200 or some shit like that, though. Right now, I'm sure that line will change by the time it's fight night because a million people are gonna bet on Nate Diaz because he has dumb fans. But we'll see. I guess nothing's outside the realm of possibility.
Absolutely not. Before we get into talking about UFC 278 main card, anything on the prelims you want to talk about?
No, there's a draw and a lot of decisions. Was not the best prelim card, unfortunately, but the main card made up for it.
No, the only thing I saw was there were a couple of flyweight fights in the very beginning, and they actually had finishes. It was like, so interesting. But we'll see. I think Victor Adamarino was a guy who was like the first fight on the card. He got stunned a few times. I don't know if you saw this fight, but he got stunned a few times, and then he came back and got the finish. But yeah, let's go right into the main card. Tyson Pedro, quick finish.
Yeah, he landed that great body kick on Hunsucker and then followed up with punches and KO'd him. Tyson looked like he deserved to be that minus 715 or whatever he was favorite for the fight. Hunsucker had no answers for him. Tyson was, bigger, which I don't understand how because Hunsucker used to fight at heavyweight, but he was bigger, he was faster, stronger. Just definitely the better athlete. He's looked great in his last 2 fights since his long injury layoff. So I'm looking forward to seeing him fight, someone a little closer to his caliber for sure now that he's got those kinks worked out and worked off some of that ring rust. So I'm very excited about who he could be going up against next.
Absolutely. Women's bantamweight, Lucille Pedalova defeated Wulan TKO elbows. I believe it was round 2.
Yeah, this fight had no business being on this card. The main card, I don't understand why it was. I was under the impression that Marcin Tybura and Alexander Romanov was going to be on the main card, but that was a featured prelim bout. I wish that had been on the main card because it was a better fight. These two girls were both like one loss away from being cut, and it showed during the fight. It was a boring fight. Hopefully the UFC can do better next time. I'm embarrassed for them.
Yeah, not sure why they were on there, but at least there was a finish. Then we went to Merab. Let's see if I get this right today. The Valishvili?
Yeah, that's right.
Defeated Jose Aldo, unanimous decision. Not a very fan-friendly fight, but Merab looked good. He did what Merab does. I thought Aldo looked all right in the first round, was able to stop the takedown initially. But I felt like almost like Aldo just didn't have the patience to really, I don't know. He just was not able to constantly stop, the pressure Merab was putting on. And that was the big difference maker. So, yeah, your opinions on this fight. And also with Merab clearly stating he doesn't want to face Aljamain Sterling. Any thoughts what might be next for him?
Yeah, the fight was about as I thought it would go, except for the fact that I thought that Jose would present a little bit more offense for sure. I understand, not wanting to get taken down for sure. And I think that Merab did a great job of showcasing his striking and then mixing in the takedowns. And that may have thrown Jose off a little bit. But Jose, all he did in that fight was try to defend takedowns. He didn't get any offense off, and obviously you can't win a fight like that. So a little bit disappointed for sure. I mean, Merab did everything he needed to do to win, so props to him. I read somewhere that Aldo was telling Merab that he was done when he was on the canvas there, but he didn't leave his gloves or anything like that. I really hope that's not how he goes out. As far as Merab and Aljo, clearly they're not going to fight. So I know there have been some talks about Aljo maybe possibly going up to featherweight, and that's something I'd be interested in. I think he presents a problem with this wrestling for a lot of guys up there.
Yeah.
If not, I don't know what you do because Merab's just going to become the gatekeeper, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Aljo has this almost like his enforcement there.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. This fight, Paulo Costa, Luke Rockhold. I said it last week. I thought Rockhold was going to get destroyed, but I felt bad, and I really wanted him to win. I wanted to believe he'd be an interesting matchup for a style bender like we talked about, but he did not get destroyed necessarily. He was not close to winning, but man, there was a couple times he did rock Costa a few times. It was a crazy fight. It was probably not exciting in the sense of like a very technical fight. Both guys got extremely tired, but it was just fun. And I think I heard John Pollock say on Post Wrestling that it was a spectacle. Is the best way you could describe it. It was like a spectacle, and it was interesting, man. Rockhold and wiping that blood on him at the very end, which was just incredible. It just something like it really just made it. It was fun, and it actually at that point had really made the card fun.
Yeah, one exciting fight. Maybe the sloppiest fight I've seen since Dada 5000 and Kimbo Slice, RIP. But it was super exciting. Rockhold definitely won me over as a babyface by the end of this fight, with all of his talk about fighter pay beforehand, and then, obviously gassing and then, showing the heart to say, fuck you, and then punch Costa in the face, and they was talking a bunch of shit, rubbing his blood on him, He was tired like 2 minutes into the fight, though. The fact that Costa could not finish Luke Rockhold when he was so tired, in fact, that he had to bend over and put his hands on his knees in the middle of the fight multiple times. That's not a good look for Costa for sure. And I actually think if Luke had enough conditioning, he would have won that fight easily. Yeah. So that's not what happened, though. Costa wins. An annoying person. I can't stand him. That was his last fight on his contract. He can kick rocks for all I care. He's never going to be champion, so I'm not sure he can go off and fight Jake Paul or be in an ice cream eating contest with Patty or some shit like that. But all the respect to Luke Rockhold for sure. Wasn't the biggest fan of his earlier in his career, but he has won me over at this point. And, good luck in his retirement. I'm sure he'll be fine making, 7 figures as a model or whatever.
I'm sure he's going to do okay. What's up, Randy? Underrated fights we watched. As far as this past weekend, I wouldn't say there was anything in particular that was underrated that caught my eye. There were some fun fights. Nothing comes to mind immediately. Maybe we'll get back to you on a future episode. Unless you got something.
I'd say in that PFL card, that Brennan Locke named Chris Wade fight. I don't know if you watched that one, but I mean, I was excited for that one because, I'm such a big fan of Brennan Locke Nane. But it was a very close technical fight. Both guys did great. Brennan ended up pulling it out. He's going to fight his friend Bubba Jenkins, who we talked about last week, for $1 million. So good on him.
Absolutely. Yeah. Congratulations. Main event. Man, this fight really is like bookend. Like the first round and the last round. First round, kind of going back and forth a little bit. And Leon Edwards gets a takedown and gets the back of Kamaru Usman. This is fun and exciting. Now, I don't think
Usman's never been taken down in the UFC before.
Right.
So that was big.
That was big. That was fun. And it was like, okay, we got a fight here. But we really didn't have a fight yet. Like once, after that round, Usman started to really take control, really started to like dominate. And for the most part, looked like he was going to cruise the decision. Usman's Leon Edwards' corner is yelling at him in round 5. And we're thinking, all right, yeah, they're trying to motivate him, but you don't see Edwards as that type of fighter. He's not going out there and he's not going to be reckless. He's not going to do that. And 9 times out of 10, when you're in that situation, like you're done then. You're probably going to just cruise on to a loss. Except for this time. Usman ducks his head. Bam. He gets head kicked, knocked out with about a minute left, maybe a little less than a minute left. And Leon Edwards, a guy that people were going to talk about, will he be able to come back mentally from this loss? Now he's looking at the biggest fight of his career, a trilogy fight with Kamaru Usman, possibly in England, possibly in a stadium. Tremendous.
Yeah. Leon had a great first round for sure. But I think that takedown hurt Kamaru's ego or his ego. And so he went on to do what I thought he was going to do in the fight. And that's where Edwards out. And he for sure did. Every time Leon went back to his corner, he looked like he was, he had given up. He was dead. His corner was screaming at him every round, which great corner work for sure. I don't know what gym he comes out of. I don't know his coach's name, but I'm impressed with them for sure. So as far as the rematch, great on Leon Edwards for sure. It'll be a huge thing. I would imagine it probably does get done in England. I don't know about a stadium or anything like that, but it could be on one of these huge London cards with Patty and Molly and all that. But I would bet money that Usman gets that belt back. I know people are saying like, oh, he might be different because he's never been knocked out before. But I think you could tell with how he accepted his loss so graciously. He knows like, oh, I made a mistake, but that belt's mine. I'm going to get that back. So that's how I see it going. I bet he dominates Edwards in the next fight for sure.
I know Randy just asked, are we having a problem with any of these rematches? Well, this rematch is necessary. Usman deserves it. Now, I will say this. Personally, And, if Usman just like went away, like, man, like we'd have, or went up a weight class or anything, you know what I mean? Like we'd have so many fresh matchups right now. Like Edwards could take on Kobe. You got Chimaev waiting in the wings,
He's got heat with Masvidal.
Masvidal, if Masvidal can Masvidal had to get a win, get back on track. But I mean,
maybe he's Masvidal. It's like the Nate Diaz thing,
Yes. Yeah, that Connor, all of them. But yeah, I just think that Edwards is such a breath of fresh air that man, I wish Usman didn't have a problem going up to middleweight to fight Stylebender, because I'd love to see Usman freshen things up and just take the opportunity to. I've never been a big fan of Usman jumping up to light heavyweight. I think that's such a stretch.
That's too much.
Yeah. But especially, I mean, look at this. He's getting head kicked by Leon Edwards. I mean, no offense, but I mean, what's going to happen then when you're in there with guys like, John?
Let Yuri head kick him like that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. Anyway, but it ended up being one of the best UFC pay-per-views all year. I'm not going to say the best. We had some real good ones this year, but it definitely ended up being one of the best. It was a really good pay-per-view.
It was a very good card. Yeah. I had hopes for it, but I think it exceeded my expectations for sure.
Me too. All right, guys, let's get ready for some MMA Jeopardy. We're back. We're doing it again.
All right. Yeah. Hopefully. So I did not pick out this Jeopardy, so I wouldn't know the answers. We had producer Joe pick it out. We're hoping that it's a little bit more relevant as far as time. So fingers crossed here, guys.
Some different categories.
Yeah, some different stuff. So let's see if we can get this going.
Yep. All right. I'm going to add it to the stream. And
all right, you won last time, Dave. So we will let you go first.
All right. Let's see. Let's go off right off the bat. Let's do martial arts stars for 500.
Okay. All right. Founder of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Man. All right. So it's the Gracie family. God, I can't remember who the original father was, but I'll go with Hiran. I think that's how you say it, Hiran Gracie.
All right. So should I say, if I have a different answer, should I say it so I can try to steal?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm going to say Helio Gracie.
Helio.
Okay. Helio Gracie. Okay. So I get 500 points. I just listened to an old episode of Joe Rogan where he was talking about Helio Gracie. So I knew that one.
Oh, nice. All right. I tried to go big. You stole it. So am I going next? Or are you going? Or
you go again.
All right. Let's go martial arts stars for 400.
400. Okay. Ex-featherweight and lightweight UFC champion from Ireland. Oh, wow. This is 400, huh?
Yeah. Conor McGregor, baby. All day long.
All right. Conor McGregor. That's right. All right. 400 for Dave.
All right. So now you would go, right?
All right. So I'm going to do BJJ belts for 300. Third belt.
Okay.
Purple belt. Purple. All right, let's go.
All right. I'll do BJJ belts for 100 then. Let's see if it's
100. Oh.
First belt. Okay, so it is. It's going to be white belt then.
Okay. You have your white belt, right?
I do.
All right. All right. Well, let's keep this one going then. I'll go for 200 BJJ belts. Second belt, I'm going to say blue belt.
Correct.
It's blue. Okay. All right, Dave. I got 1,000. You have 500.
Yeah, I'll go the 500 actually then.
BJJ belts for 500. Master belt.
It's a black belt.
Black belt. Red.
Oh.
Do they mean coral? Because coral is a belt, right?
Yeah, it is. It's like a red black belt. That's fine.
Okay, well, I wouldn't have got that right because I also would have said black belt.
Right.
I wasn't thinking, the step above master, but
yeah, no. Interesting.
Okay, so I'll go this time though, since neither one of us got that. Let's go for let's do UFC 300. Who is the president of the UFC? I'm going to say Dana White. All right, Dana White. All right, what do you got, Dave?
All right,
you got some points to make up here.
Dude, let's go 500 UFC.
Who? All right, who is the UFC heavyweight champion? If you give me a heavyweight champion, and we both agree that it's right, I'll give you the points.
Well, the UFC heavyweight champion is Francis Ngannou.
Okay.
So when did this come out? Who knows?
All right, Stipe, we'll give it to you because I think you would have known that one at that time too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So
that's the only problem with these Jeopardy games is we don't know when this was made, so the time is tough. So I'll go. I want to see what these global martial arts are. So I'm going to do global martial arts for 300. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Name. Wait.
So I'm supposed to like pick what martial art he does, or?
Oh, okay.
So
go ahead.
Is that what you think it is?
It's global martial arts stars.
No, it just says global martial arts. I'm going to say his martial art that he does is kickboxing. So I don't know, like maybe it's called Dutch kickboxing or something. Do you have a different guess?
Let's see. To be a little different. Muay Thai.
Okay, so kickboxing. So that is what we're doing.
Yes.
Okay.
Good
Your turn.
All right. So yeah, let's go. Let's do global stars for 400.
Hickson Gracie. All right. So I assume you have to guess what his martial art is that he's famous for.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or BJJ.
That's right. Okay. All right, Dave, you caught right up to me. Let's do global martial arts for 500. Mr. Miyagi. I know this one. This is karate. You got a different answer?
No.
Okay, karate. All right.
MMA acronyms. 500.
500. All right, you're going for the big one.
Whoa.
UIJJ. I'm glad I didn't pick this one because I don't know the answer to this.
I'm glad it's like all over the board between easy and hard. I'm gonna go international jiu-jitsu, the unified. How about that? Oh, unified international jiu-jitsu.
That's a pretty good guess. Italian Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. Where's the U in that?
It's so weird. Whatever.
All right, that strikes me as a legit 500-point question though, because that was tough.
That was tough. Yeah,
that's a tough one. Wow, I'm gonna stay away from that one. I'm gonna go with UFC 400. Name 3 common martial arts used in the UFC. 3 common ones. Well, hopefully, okay. I'm gonna say wrestling.
Yep.
BJJ.
Yep.
And boxing.
Boxing, absolutely. I mean, all right. I guess I'll try to steal, but I mean, you're right. I'll come with one different. All right. So BJJ's got to be there. I'll go with the wrestling, and I'll say kickboxing.
BJJ, kickboxing, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, Sambo.
Yeah.
So I would have been right.
Yeah, you got it. Yep.
Okay. That was a good question. Lots of answers. They had all.
Yeah,
I can't think of any other ones that aren't on this list, really. Unless someone's like, oh, kung fu or something weird like that, right? So that's a good question. All right, this is your turn, Dave.
Oh man, I need get some thing. I'm gonna go stick with MMA acronyms for 400.
JKD. I think I know this one. If it's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Man, I'm thinking. All right, so it's something.
And I only know this from the UFC video game, by the way.
Oh, really? Fascinating. Oh man, I have no idea. I'm gonna go just to say something. Junior karate discipline.
I think that this is from Bruce Lee's discipline, Jeet Kune Do.
Okay.
Jeet Kune Do. All right, let's go.
Chevy, you're on fire this time.
I'm on fire. All
Benjamin.
right.
BJJ belts. 400.
BJJ belts.
Yep.
4th belt.
So I guess it's going to be the black belt. They got to have the black belt on here. Oh, wait. Hold on. What was that? The 3rd belt wasn't a brown belt. So brown.
Right. 3rd belt was purple.
This is brown.
So you're going to go with brown?
Yeah.
I also think it's brown. I got to count them on my fingers like a weirdo, but yes, brown. Okay. So that 500 one was a throw off. It was, a hard one too to try to throw you off with that master. All right. So I'm going to go with, martial arts stars for 300.
Yes.
The greatest.
Okay. I got to guess if you don't.
Is that Ali? I gotta go with Ali, right?
That's what I would go with, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Muhammad Ali.
Yep.
Okay. All right, what do you got, Dave? You got some points to make up still.
Let's start off easy. UFC 200.
200. When was the UFC founded? I think this was on our last Jeopardy that we did.
Yeah, I could be a year off, but I'm gonna go 93.
Yeah, I believe it was 93. Yep. I remember that because that's when my wife was born.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to go with global martial arts for 200. Bruce Lee. Well, we just talked about this, right? This would be Jeet Kune Do. That's his martial art. That
makes sense. Although, I'll tell you what, just to steal, because sometimes these things are effed up, as we know, I'm just going to go Kung Fu.
Well, I already hit the answer, and there's no answer. So,
oh, no.
So we're going to just skip over that one. I'll go again because I'm not sure of the answer. But I'll go global martial arts for 100. Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, that's got to be boxing, right? That's a 100. Yep. Okay, what do you got, Dave?
We'll go MMA acronyms for 300.
BJJ.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay, yeah, that's right. We're gonna probably have some easy ones here. So I'm gonna go with let's do UFC 100. What do the letters UFC represent? Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Gotta be.
All right. Your turn, Dave.
Martial arts stars 200.
Chinese American legend, founder of JKD.
Yeah, that would be Bruce Lee, as we've learned.
Yeah, that's right. Whoever made this one's a big fan of Bruce Lee, apparently, huh? All right, I'll go martial arts stars for 100. Star of the film Kickboxer, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Definitely know that one.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think you can win, Dave, but let's see what you got.
You go 200.
TKD. For MMA acronyms.
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo. Taekwondo, that's right. I didn't know that one. So, and we'll see MMA acronyms. MMA. Mixed martial arts.
All right.
All right.
You avenged that loss.
Yeah. So we're 1-1 in Jeopardy now, Dave. So
Trilogy's coming
up. feels good. Feels good.
Trilogy's coming up. We're going to be selling out the UK. A bunch of crazy bastards are coming.
Maybe next time, we'll get a fan or a guest on here, and we can play. Next time we play, we can get a third person, maybe mix it up a little bit.
Absolutely,
we'll see.
All right, maybe get Connie USADA. Maybe we can convince Miss Chevarooney to come on. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but
I don't know. I don't know if she wants to be on the camera, but
yeah,
Connie USADA would be fun.
You gotta need the rematch now.
we need a rubber match. Talking about rematches, Randy, we got one. Dave and I.
You're gonna have to pay for it, brother. All right, Chevy. Before we get out of here, let's see what they got coming up.
All right, September 3rd, UFC Fight Night, Gane versus Tuivasa. That's a 3 p.m. Eastern card. The big boys are going to war in Paris. We're looking forward to that one. Then September 10th, UFC 279, Kimaya versus Nate Diaz, and Li Jingling versus Tony Ferguson just got added to that card, so we're excited for that one. A couple old school dudes. And then September 17th, UFC Fight Night, Hagen versus Udon. Great bantamweight matchup.
Absolutely. Hagen, Song Ladong. Man, you just got so many good bantamweight matchups potentially out there. I think if Hagen or Song Ladong, whoever gets that victory, since we don't know what's going to happen with Sterling and Dillashaw yet, I say that's probably a good matchup for Merab next.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's going to have to fight down to one of these guys because it's so jammed up top. Mm-hmm. And those top guys, they need to fight each other.
Now, actually, as I say that, if Sean O'Malley ends up beating Peter Yan or anything like that for some reason, then O'Malley and O'Malley's probably going to get skyrocket a title shot.
Yeah, he's going right to a title shot because the UFC has a boner for him.
I say if Yan wins like we expect him to, if Sterling wins, which I'm not necessarily that's not a gimme to me. That one's tossed up.
Then maybe Merab fights Yan for sure because that's a fresh matchup.
I think so, and I think too, especially if Sterling wins and he wants to go up to featherweight, then fine. Let's have Sterling go up to featherweight, and let's have Merab and Peter Yan fight for the vacant bantamweight title if that happens.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go for sure.
It's no respect to Sterling, but at this point, stuff like this, and God bless him, it's cool. But at the same time, now I kind of just want to root for Dillashaw a little more because I don't want this logjam. So many matchups. Let's get it going.
I mean, I'm a fan of Aljo, but I was always going to go for Dillashaw. So
yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, to me, it's let's keep that. That's why I like Usman. He's won me over the years. He's impressed me. He's so good. He was but man, Edwards winning, that was just a breath of fresh air. And it's because Usman just beat everybody and he's beat people twice now. So it's okay.
And he also, lately he's been knocking guys out more, but he on his come up, he was always great. He's always been great, but he's only recently gotten exciting. He was always boring before, just clinching and holding guys up against the cage, taking them down but not doing damage. He's only recently got it exciting, so it's a bummer that he lost that way, but you're right, it is a breath of fresh air. It brings a little bit more urgency to his career because he's definitely near the end. So I think in the long run this could be good for him. It gives him a real rival other than Colby Covington, who he's clearly better than. So
yeah, before we get out of here too, actually, I'll just ask you this question. I'm kind of curious. We have a mutual friend who years ago used to watch MMA, doesn't watch it as much. And he told me a while ago, one of the reasons why he didn't follow it was he got hip to the fact that, that you're going to get behind a star and eventually that star is going to lose. And, the idea is we're just going to pump out, new people and it can't last forever. And for me, it's just the opposite. As much as I may fall, for somebody and really like their act and really like their fighting skills or whatever the case may be, I'm always excited about the come up. I think that's what keeps me around as a fan. I'd be curious to see what people, what keeps them into UFC or MMA in general. But for me, I'd be curious about your opinion. I like the circle of life, so to speak. I like the new guy. I like the fact it's constantly evolving and we're going to see different people at different times.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The come up, people's ascension to greatness is the best part of the journey, watching people achieve things that other people say they can't do, exceeding expectations. Even Connor on his come up, I was a big fan of his come up, and, eventually, you live long enough to see yourself become the villain or whatever they say. So, yeah. I agree with you though. That is part of what keeps me engaged in the sport is, these stars that they're building, these storylines that happen, and this chasing of greatness that we see from these athletes.
Leon Edwards was totally off my radar about a year and a half ago. Before COVID happened, Like, I know he was about to get a title shot, but he still wasn't even on my radar then. He was kind of off the radar because he had won on they were talking about some Underwoman fight night cards, but he was consistent. So he was going to get the fighting, which would have been a big deal at the time. He probably would have become more of a focus. I heard BT Sports at the time did this really great, story on him. But then COVID happened. He disappeared. Then he just kind of became the guy to me that got shut out. Like, oh, this guy's supposed to get, okay, now, all of a sudden he comes back. He's in my mind a little bit more because Usman's just destroying people, beating people left and right. But, come this past Saturday, I wasn't expecting him to win. And as that fight continued on, I was like, okay, so this is kind of what we thought would happen. And then, boom, one head kick later, now this guy has got a bunch of interest. And it's a great story. Like, he's a star now to a certain level, and he's going to get a big payday fight. And to me, that's like one of the really cool things about this sport is that people can literally fight their way out of like some horrible predicament they might have been into and make a happy ending for themselves.
Right. Greatest sport in the world for sure.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Thanks guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week. And don't worry, MMA Jeopardy will be back as well. But until next time, me and Chevarooney, we'll see you at the fights.